Hi everyone, this is Randy from Randy's Crafty Creations, and I wanted to come to you today with a video on how I made the background for these two cards right here using our new stamp, Buffalo Check. It's a background stamp set. It's in our new holiday catalog. If you don't have one, feel free to contact me. All the information is below this video and I can get one out to you. But I love this stamp. I love the Buffalo Check background, and I was inspired to add some things from this piece of designer series paper that is in our annual catalog, and it's our Christmas paper that's in there under the mistletoe. And it's a whole pack of all different kinds of patterns and such, but I really like this plaid. And so I kind of sort of wanted to recreate it a little bit once I saw that stamp. So I made this solid one using Old Olive, and I made this one using my blends. So I'm going to show you how to make this one, because if I show you how to make this one, I've showed you how to make this one. And then also want to show you how to stamp this beautiful bow from the other stamp set, Wishing You Well, that is also in our holiday catalog. It's one that I did pass over. It wasn't one of my first picks. I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's okay. And then I went back and looked at it again and I was like, oh, you know what? I really like that. So I got that. I'm going to give you a couple tips about that bow. But first, let's do the background. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus to do the background stamp. We don't need our foam sheet because it's a red rubber stamp. It's our cling mount. Okay. Now, depending on how dark you want to make your stamp, you really want to make sure that your piece of paper is attached to your stamping platform. So I cut a sheet, just a piece of 8.5 by 11.5 at 5.5, and I'm going to go ahead and put it down with my magnets. Now I'm going to, oh, sorry, you can't see, I apologize. Now I'm going to set this magnet up to be right up against my stamp there. Okay. And I'm going to stamp on this. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, wow, gosh, you know, you're wasting paper. Really, I'm not, because I can use this for other things, and I can use this for other things like sentiments and such. So I'm okay doing it this way to ensure more that I get a nice, solid Buffalo Check stamped image. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my ink pad, my Old Olive. All right, and I am just going to go ahead and ink it up. And I'm going to ink up the whole thing. Now, of course, I'm going to end up cutting this down, but I'm going to cut it down when I'm all done so that every edge is a nice finished edge. So let's go ahead and get it all inked up really nicely. Okay, set this aside. I'm going to bring my plate down. I'm only using one of the plates because I'm only using one stamp. Okay, and I'm just going to rub it nice and hard to try to get that nice image. All right, so let's see what we've got here. All right, I like this. I know some people are going to say, oh, but it's all distressed in there. Well, that area we would cover anyway, but because I'm using my Stamparatus, we can go back and ink it again. So let me go ink it again. We can go back and ink it again and stamp it down, and we know we're going to be in the exact same place. So if I want it darker, I'll make it darker. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just rubbing it. Check that out. Isn't that pretty? And that is super, super dark, because that's a lot darker than my other one. And that is, yeah, that's the Old Olive. So, but that's a really nice print. So you can do that with any of your colors. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this off my Stamparatus, and I will clean it later. I have some duct tape on my magnets, and that way it makes it easier for me to lift them up. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a scratch piece of paper. Is this dry? You know what? Before we do that, let's make sure that that's dry. So I'm going to move that over for just a second. Let's go ahead and stamp our topper piece, because I want to make sure this is good and dry before I do this next step. So, all right, I'm going to bring in my Old Olive, and we're going to be using Merry Merlot. So let me go ahead, I'm going to ink up my sentiment, and I am using the sentiment from the stamp set that says, sending you our thoughts and prayers. And I really love the stamp set because it's really just not for the holidays. It's really, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out which way is up and down. Okay, this way. It's not just for the holidays. It really makes a beautiful sympathy card if you need it. Just an everyday note card. It's just a really pretty set. So sending your thoughts and prayers. All right, so now, whoops, I dropped my bow. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up my greenery. And I've seen this done in colors. I've seen it done in crumb cake or Sahara sand as wheat. I'm going to use it as greenery. All right, and I'm going to place this here. And yes, you could use your Stamparatus for this, but the stamps are small enough that I would just rather go ahead and do it by hand. The piece that I'm stamping on, by the way, is cut 2 3/4 by 3 7/8. All right, so I am done with my old olive. So let me set that aside, and then I'm going to use my Merry Merlot. All right, then I'm going to get my flowers, and the nice thing about this is it really doesn't matter which way you put them in. Although I like them like that. I think is how I did it before. Get your flowers in there though. Isn't that nice? Okay, so your bow. So your bow is one of our distinctive stamps. So you don't want to sit and pound it into your ink pad and then really push hard on your paper, or you're going to end up getting a muddied image. You really want to just lightly, I wish you could see how light I was doing this, lightly tap the stamp in the ink, and you can look at it. See how lightly that's covered? Okay, I'm going to stamp that bow on here, and I'm just going to put it down, and it's just going to be absolutely beautiful. Look at that bow. Just the depth and dimension. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I love our distinctive stamps. Love them, love them. All right, so this is our piece that's going to go on there. So let me move this aside, and let's go back to our background. Okay, that's good and dry. So I just wanted to be sure because I had stamped it twice and I used a lot of ink. All right, I'm going to get my blender pen, and I'm going to use the bullet point end, and I'm going to use the dark Blackberry Bliss. Now, if you look at the two colors together, you're going to say they don't go well together. When I made my marks on this card, I used this Blackberry Bliss pen, and it worked really well with the Merry Merlot. I like the contrasting colors there, so I'm going to do that again. All right, so I'm going to get a ruler, and I've got my paper. And like I said, I'm going to use the bullet end of my blender pen. And I am just going to go ahead and make a line, a straight line, right down through the white one. And I'm just going to keep going. So let me go ahead and do those for you. And I'm just holding on to my pen lightly. Very light touch. Just making straight lines. But you see how I'm just dressing up this buffalo check? I mean, it's already gorgeous on its own, but if you just want to add some color. Right, so now I need to turn it this way. Well, I don't need to, but I want to, because I want to go ahead and make it, give it that plaid effect. Okay. And because I'm going to reuse my extra Whisper White, I'm just going to start at the end of the stamp and come down. All the way here. Now this is leaving marks on the side of my ruler, which I just smeared, so that's okay. It is leaving marks. I'm just gonna get a little bit of alcohol later, and I'll clean that right off. So anyhow, so we just dressed up this buffalo check, so we took it from plain to fancy. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna trim it down. And I am going to trim mine down to 3 3/4 by 5. So I'm going to eyeball it here because I don't, which end do I want to cut off first? You know what, let me cut off this end first. I like having the more solid part on an end, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right. So now we're going to make this 3 3/4. Let's see where that, yeah, perfect. See, then I end up right in the green, which is where I want it to be. And again, that's my preference. Everybody else has their preference, but I like having the green on both sides. Okay, and by 5. So if I do that, If I do a little bit here, and I do a little bit here, then I get the section of plaid that I want. Perfect. All right, so now this is going to be my background piece of paper. And look at that. It looks like it was printed. And that's my favorite part about it. I'm just going to put these over here for scrap. But now it looks like my paper was purposely printed this way. And that's what I want for my card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a card base here. And my card base is a piece of 8.5 by 11. Cut in half at 5.5. Scored at 4 1/4. This piece of old olive is 4 by 5 1/4. Because I'm going to mount this right on top of that as my card base. All right, so let's go ahead and get those put together. I'm going to use some of my snail adhesive. Let's go ahead and mount that here. All right. I hope everybody's having a good day today. Today is a weird, really blustery, chilly day. I'm not complaining. I love it cold. But it's weird outside. And to sit and listen to the wind in the background is odd from the calm weather that we've had lately. All right. So there's that. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and mount this piece. And again, this one is cut 2 3/4 by 3 7/8. And then this green one is cut 2 7/8 by 4. Let me go ahead and adhere this one to this. All right, and you could use dimensionals if you wanted to pop that up. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this one flat this time. Come on. Why am I having problems with my snail today? Okay. There we go. Every once in a while, I have problems with it getting stuck. Alrighty, and I am just going to lay that right in the center of my plaid. Perfect. All right, there we go. So now I have several different versions of the same card. And again, these 3 were stamped. So this one was just stamped with the buffalo check folder. And then with this one, I went ahead and used a ruler and put some lines in to go ahead and dress it up a little bit so it would look a little bit more like the designer series paper that we have. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that I'll have the supplies that I used linked to the bottom of this video. If you need anything, you can contact me. I'm randycollins.247@gmail.com. You can shop directly on my site at randycollins.stampinup.net. You can follow me on Facebook. I'm Randy's Crafty Creations. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.